Hi, Joyce.
Hello.
Hi. Can you introduce yourself and share a bit about your background?
All right, I'm Joyce Lam. I am a faculty instructor at BCIT's New Media Design and Web Development program. Um, I have been in the industry for over 15 years. I actually graduated from BCIT in the same program, but it was a certificate program before it became a diploma program. Um, I have a bachelor's degree in design from Emily Carr University, and I also have a master's degree from the Center for Digital Media design. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of education background.
Yep.
Can you tell me more about your work history, perhaps?
My work history actually started right when I graduated. Well, before I graduated from BCIT. I when the program was running, when I was in it, we had a practicum, which is similar to your internship, which you needed to do 100 hours of work experience. So I got an internship, and they were looking for a web designer and front end developer. So I did that for my internship, and then before it even ended, they asked me if I wanted to come on board with them full time. So I worked for them Monday to Friday because it was in the office job, right, at the time. I don't think there was any remote jobs really. It's very rare. Um, yeah, so that was a startup, so I ended up doing a lot of learning on the job. But that's also where I learned, I think, the most development skills actually, because a lot of the time it's just like you can go to school and learn a whole bunch of stuff, but it's not until you actually apply it then you actually like, oh right, I don't know why this doesn't work, and you gotta debug it and do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where my work history came from. After a year and a half to 2 years, I think. Actually, a year and a half in, I was already kind of bored of the job a little bit. So then I wanted to pursue. I wanted to learn more about design. So then I went and did an undergrad, so bachelor's degree in design. So I applied for the program, got in, did my 4 years there. During my 4 years there, I continued to freelance, and I freelanced for basically I freelanced all my career basically, supporting myself with school, which is really good. So I don't have to be in a huge debt when I graduate. But after that, after graduation, I went and did some interaction design jobs as well as UX design job. That was when they started having the UX designer title when I graduated from that program. So I did that for about 2 years, and then I got bored again, and then I wanted to pursue my master's degree, and then so I did my master's degree. And after I did my master's degree, I think at maybe a month or so, they were looking for a part-time instructor at Emily Carr, where I did my undergrad. And I'm like, oh, that looks like a job that I can do. So it was only for one course, so I wanted to try it out. I applied for the job, I got it, and then ended up really loving teaching. And then while I was doing that course, I updated my LinkedIn, which is really funny because I taught you social media, and LinkedIn really is a great networking tool. So Edward saw that I was now an instructor at Emily Carr, so he asked me if I wanted to also teach at BCIT. So then I ended up teaching at both institutions as a part-time instructor, so not like a full-time situation. And then yeah, I taught part-time. I continued to freelance as well as run my own business. That was a really ideal situation for myself because I also ended up having two kids in between the time as well when I'm mat leave and that kind of stuff. And then 2023 came along and they were looking for a regular faculty instructor. I actually saw on Edward's LinkedIn, I believe, that they're looking for one instructor, right? So then I applied and then I got the job, and now that's why I'm a full-time regular faculty instructor in this program. So a full circle moment, right?
Goes back to square one.
Yeah, that's my career basically.
Um, what would you call yourself then? If you have a lot of teaching background history and also graduated from new media, how would you call yourself?
Design consultant.
Okay.
I think so. Design consultant. I would say front end developer still. I wouldn't ever try to call myself a back end or even full stack, because I don't believe I have that kind. I don't feel confident doing back end stuff. I mean, I can do it, but I'm not. I don't find passion in back end, and I think some people will agree with me. But some people who like back end, like they really enjoy it. So that's why they're there. So yeah.
I agree with you.
Actually, my LinkedIn, I think my LinkedIn title is actually I design, I code, and I teach, and that's what I call myself.
That's good, but it's good though. You have a lot of like different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What inspired you to become like a front end, like a front end developer kind of?
oh yeah, I think I think I was just placed into that position, but right, like ever since high school, I always liked making websites. I thought about the early stages of web design, right?
Right.
I made little websites on like GeoCities and AngelFire. So at the time, there's no like YouTube and stuff, right? You basically steal code from each other and then try things out, which is like the early stages of hacking, I guess. But knowing that in high school, I decided to do computer science, and I actually did a year at UBC before going to BCIT. The thing about UBC is that I hated the first year so much. That's why I started looking for other stuff that I liked, and then I went to the orientation, an orientation for the BCIT program, and Edward was there actually to introduce the program. Like that seems like they did Photoshop, they did video editing, they did photography, Illustrator. Like that looks like and they did lots of design. Like that looks like a program that I would be very interested in. So I applied, got in, loved my first term. Actually, really loved HTML, CSS, which I've already had like some experience with it, just kind of hacking around in high school. But then I found out that it's the type of programming that was the issue, right? The stuff that I was learning in computer science was more software development, and I was not interested in that. So yeah, I really loved both design and development at the time. So the internship was also like, it was supposed to be a design internship, I think, and then they ended up knowing that, oh, you know how to code too. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the program, teaches you how to code. And then that's why that's why I got hired as a web designer developer. I think that was my role, a junior developer. I think that was the role. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me your day-to-day working schedule?
My day-to-day working schedule. It depends on the term, and like depending how many on-campus classes versus online classes I have. If it's a campus classes in the morning, then I wake up and go to campus, and I usually try to arrive a bit earlier. If it's a morning class, I can't drop off my kids to school, so then my partner has to do it. And then if I have afternoon class, I end up dropping them off early because I get class at 9, and then I usually come back to my office here at home to work on stuff. But sometimes I go down to the office, our faculty office there too. But I tend to get more distracted in the office because it's a shared office. I end up distracting people there as well. So I am more focused when I'm up by myself in an office space, and I think a lot of people also feel the same way. I do a lot of prep. I mark assignments. Unfortunately, when I have class on Monday mornings, I have to do my prep either on Sunday nights or Sunday afternoon. It's because I try to do it on Friday, but it's just too many days left in between that I can't really do a lot of prep before that time. So then usually I end up working on the weekend, but that's okay too. That's just part of this job.
Okay.
Yeah, and then today I have office hours.
Oh, yeah.
But I have morning class today, and then I have office hours. So my office hours are kind of staggered to different times.
Yeah. And how would you manage your work-life balance?
Work-life balance? Well, part of why I really love this job is because I don't have to work on weekends. I get my weekends for my kids because that's one of my priorities in life. I get the holidays off. I don't ever have to respond to emails on the weekends, which I still do sometimes. But I like how the school does emphasize on work-life balance. How we're only responsible during like duty hours, which is the school hours, right? Unfortunately, I don't really get summers off when they have school off. But this year I get summer off, so I'm so happy to do my vacation during the summer when they are on summer break. So I think the job gives me a really good work-life balance compared to when I was our other interview. Compared to when I was working freelance, I have zero work-life balance. Like I'm bad at managing that because when I get a new project, I get excited, I work on it. When I was when I was younger and I have no responsibilities, I end up working, I do all-nighters because I'm like, I want to get it done, or I'm so focused or passionate about the project I'm doing, but then I end up, having a very, very messy work-life balance. So that was not a good idea for me because I have no one to manage me, and not knowing when to stop is a huge learning lesson that I learned in my 20s. So that's part of where I talked to Eric about it too. Like I really like this job because I have the work-life balance option, right? And then when we're older and we want to retire, we have pension, so we don't have to worry about that about retirement, right? So,
Yeah. What's something you wish you know before you get into the industry?
Wish I known. Wish I've known. Oh, I guess the freelance part. There's a lot to do. There is a lot about freelancing, like taxes, time management, no health benefits. You pay for your own health benefits. You can get an insurance plan, but like a BCIT, I get the benefits are included in my occupation basically. Printer just went on. I don't know why it's going. Yeah, so no work I would so I spent a lot my first few years of freelancing, I learned that I worked a lot. I underpriced myself, and I don't really end up coming out on the making it not feel like it's worth it. But at the same time, I tell students too, the first few years of working, it might be just learning money, which means you're investing a lot of your own time just to learn things. So you might end up, it may feel like you're working less than minimum wage on a project, but at the same time you're learning how to do things. You're not going to school to learn. You're basically investing in yourself. So that's what I feel like. It's a little bit tough, but you get it's something that stuff that you learn doesn't go anywhere, right? It stays with you. So I think that's one of the things that you just the first few years might feel rough or tough, and especially when you're looking for jobs, it is going to be a little bit sometimes it's demoralizing, but at the same time, once you get something, you'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a learning process.
It's a learning process. Yeah.
How do you stay up to date with design trends?
Oh, you guys, right?
Yeah.
That's part of why I really like the job. I mentioned, I've gotten the in-house jobs. I've gotten to the point where I've got bored and I wanted to do something else. I haven't gotten to that point yet because part of my job is to stay up to date. Because even especially I have a course like social media, I always have to keep up to date. Every term I have to update the slides. Otherwise it's already redundant information. Trends, I update trends. But part of it is just the job keeps me interested and keeps me. It requires me to update myself, right? We have professional development time to help upgrade our skills to make sure that we are also we know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel and then students always share cool stuff with me. They'll say, hey, have you seen this? I'm like, have you done 3JS? I'm like, it should happen. And then they'll show me cool things, and I'm like, oh nice, and then that kind of idea. So I think part of it is the job keeps me updated, and also students like you, showing me cool stuff.
What do you see yourself in, let's say, the next 5 years? Because you did mention you get tired of your job for 2 years and then you switch, right? So
yeah. Well, I've always part of my growing up, upbringing, I guess. My parents are immigrants, so I'm a first generation Canadian. But from both sides of the family, I was the first to get a master's degree. Actually, I'm the first to get a bachelor's degree even. So I always wanted to kind of push myself to see if I could do a PhD as well. So that's my life goal versus a career goal. Is more to kind of prove to myself that I can do it. And I always loved education. That's why I'm here, right? But I've always loved going to school. I've always done pretty well in school as well. I think I just feel really happy in the school environment, I guess. So that's why I like teaching. I don't know. It just falls into place really nicely for me. So the next 5 to 7 years, I want to at least start my PhD. I mean, the average time to finish one is 7 years apparently. So we'll see. You could probably finish in 3 to 4 if you actually, focus. But let's just see how it goes first.
Do you think you can finish it in 3 to 4 years?
I don't know. I've always said that when my youngest goes to kindergarten, I will go start looking. So my youngest is in kindergarten this year, so I have to go start looking and seeing what there is. And before I hit 40, I wanna at least start my PhD, and I'm getting close to that. So I have a few years, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll update my LinkedIn profile.
I'll set a notification bell when you change it. I'll see. Ooh, you finished your PhD. Do you have some advices for students who are interested in going to web design or freelance?
Any advice?
Yes.
One of my advices will be try not to be too set on following trends and what's really designy right now, or trying to copy someone else's. Like, I feel like part of my first few years is kind of figuring out what my design aesthetic is, because sometimes you try to imitate what's going on or what's new and hot right now may not be something that is a style that is timeless or lasts forever. And I eventually figured out my own design aesthetic. It's minimal, Swiss, Japanese minimalism that I really like, and I try to remain in that kind of aesthetic. And at the same time, just like artists and trying to find their style, when you have a style that you like, or you are good with, or it matches you, it's a no-brainer. Like, it goes with the flow of things, versus trying to imitate something that isn't yourself is very difficult, I find. Like, it's not really my thing. And I've done projects before where the client wants a certain aesthetic, and it's not something that really that I like, or really that I'm actually have done before. And sometimes it's okay, because sometimes it's easy to imitate enough, but sometimes it's just like you can't really imitate your own style. You either have it or you don't, kind of thing. So that's my first advice. Try not to stick too much on trends, like gimmicky things for your portfolio. Don't overwhelm your audiences. Try to focus on your actual work versus just another trend or that kind of idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's actually very helpful. Last question. We're on our last question. Yes. Are there any resources or books or anything that you can recommend to students? Let's say if they want to learn more about web design or freelance, for example.
If you want to freelance, you're wondering what kind of. I think I mentioned it in one of our internship classes. Like, if you want to know how to price things and how to kind of create legal documents, or not really legal, they're not official legal documents, so that you need a lawyer for that. But just basic contracts and stuff. It's the graphic design artists guilds. They have a pricing and ethical guidelines, which is guidelines. So you can I actually use that as my basis to create my own contracts. Always make a contract. Doesn't matter how well you know your client. As long it's just nice to have something on paper. I mean, it can be email, whatever, right? But in writing is very, very important. Making sure you have the payment terms set. Make sure how many revisions you're going to include, how much time you want to budget in. You can have a set project fee versus hourly rate, but your project fee should be based on your hourly rate. I always say that find an hourly rate that you're happy with. See how much time you need to do the project, and then double it. Because you always underestimate when you're starting out. That being said, if you don't double it and you actually want to you want to just do whatever time you think you need, which I highly recommend. Whatever leftover hours that you actually end up spending on it becomes learning hours, right? Learning time or learning money. You pay yourself to learn it. So. I've done that before a lot. I remember coding maybe 6 hours to do a WordPress theme or something, but I end up spending the whole day, whole night on it for a client. But I learned a lot. I basically learned how to make WordPress themes really early on, and I made a lot of money. But it was a great thing to make money on, because at the time everyone wanted WordPress for whatever reason, and it's always the same kind of stuff that you do, right? The code is almost the same, just the design's different. So yeah, I found it a little bit niche there, and then it was but nowadays it's different. Now WordPress is not as wanted as much as it was before. So it's again the right place, right time. Sometimes
I mean,
you know,
some
you can't
places
really
also
explain it.
want WordPress. Like some
Sorry?
places still want to have WordPress websites rather
it's
than
true.
coded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times now it's more like maintaining older WordPress websites instead of creating them from scratch. I think. But it's good. Yeah. It's still like they still want it. It's still like 41% of the I think the global amount of websites are WordPress. I think it's 41. I think last time I checked, it was 41% of all the websites in the world is made with WordPress. So
It's crazy.
still quite a big chunk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, BCIT's own website is WordPress, right?
Oh really? I didn't know.
It is.
I didn't know it was
BCIT is
WordPress.
yeah, just look in the code. It's the WP content and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who developed it though. Probably the IT department, but it is WordPress. It is a decent CMS system for sure.
Mhm.
Something for a school website would be actually a good use case for using WordPress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Well,
Yeah.
that's all the stuff that I want to ask you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
Thank you for interviewing with me.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.